Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Coffee with Jim and James. We're going back on the 7 Habits journey. And James, you know, we've had an outpouring of people every time we do one of the 7 habits, and we're on 7 habit number 6 today, Synergy. And I know that we embrace this, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion today about Synergy. But one little example stuck in my mind is that if you take a piece of wood, one piece of wood that could hold 100 pounds, then you take another piece of wood that could hold 100 pounds, but you put them together, they can hold 250, 300 pounds, maybe more. But so the sum of the two is greater than what they are individually. So simply put, synergy means the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's it.
I love this chapter. It's very short,
Very
but
short.
I tell you what, this is where a lot of it just comes together.
Yeah.
So
I love this chapter too. Now, I'll be honest, I've never been on the teaching side of this chapter. I've always been on the learning side, but it is fascinating. And, you know, I'm not someone who's necessarily struggled with synergy in his life. Thankfully, I don't think I have. Maybe I have. I just don't know. But my teams, even before I went through 7 habits, my teams, I think, were very synergized. Now, as I've learned more, I won't lie, it's easier. It seems like it comes more naturally, but I think I'm wired that way. You know, I'm a people person.
Yes.
But I don't mean like I just like to talk to people. I mean, I do. I'm obviously in front of the camera all the time, but I like to understand people. I like to get to know them. I'm very curious. You know, the things that make you Jim are the things that I love, that make us even more powerful, right? You know, we talk about strengths all the time. I know we'll talk about it later, but you know, being able to couple our strengths together, it makes it casts a wide net, right?
Yeah.
And then when you know, I'm having one of those rough moments or vice versa, we're able to compensate for that a little bit, right? And that, I think that's super cool. So diversity, man. That's what this one's really about, is how do you leverage that to make, like you said, the whole greater than the parts, right? And that's hopefully what we'll learn today. So some of my favorite stuff, these 7 habits, man, and ready for this one. I'm going to read out of the first chapter, Jimmy,
I was
because
going to ask you.
I mean, the first paragraph in this chapter is so good. I'm just going to start there, if you don't mind.
Please.
The exercise of all of the other habits prepares us for the habit of synergy. When properly understood, synergy is the highest activity in all life, the true test and manifestation of all the other habits put together. The highest forms of synergy focus the 4 unique human endowments, the motive of win-win, and the skills of empathic communication on the toughest challenges we face in life. What results is almost miraculous. We create new alternatives, something that wasn't there before. So just like what you said, Jimmy, I got cold chills. Look at
yeah, me too.
Just like what you said, though, 1 + 1 = 3. We've never heard that in our life. You know, if we would have said that in grade school, we would have failed. We'd still been going. But that's a new reality that we never even, you know, thought was possible. You know, like you said, oh, that only holds 100 and 100. If we put it under there, that's just going to break under 100 pounds, right? And we get a whole new possibility. So I think that's powerful.
Yeah. Well, I think it really is. And James, we've gone down the journey. You and I have gone through it. We as a company, Energy WorldNet, embraces 7 habits. I mean, it's so wonderful to see all the different thoughts that come about of it, but we always break them down by each habit. And we spend a lot of time, 2-3 hours on each habit. And then number 6, it really is like taking everything and then kind of like bringing it all together, a culmination of all the habits, really.
It really is. Covey says, I mean, it is, and he says that as well, but he also says it's the fruits of habit 4 and 5. So if you remember 4 and 5, habit 4 is think win-win.
Win-win, and then think
seek first. Seek first to understand. And then to be understood, right? And so if you think about that, if we're trying to synergize, number 1, what's going to get us to a win-win? If we're both focused on that, that's huge. And then if we seek first to understand them to be understood, then we're both listening, empathic listening, right? Empathic communication. And that is the fruit. Synergize is the fruit. So when you start feeling that, wow, how are we getting so much done? It's probably because you both have identified, or all of you have identified, what the win-win looks like.
Yeah.
What's the finish line, and what is important to everybody that's involved. And when you don't have to flat out ask that, right out of the gate every moment, you just are synergetic in how you go about things. It simplifies and makes it so much easier. And
Yeah.
Jim, to personify that even more, you've spoken on it. I've spoken on it. We have a topic called managing and leading people not like you.
One of my
And
favorite
yeah,
apps.
and it's just like that. It's just like the first two tricks that we teach them.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
In managing and leading people, we've given it multiple times, James, and I love it. But the first
Mhm.
two, I believe, are finding a common ground and breaking the
Right.
ice.
Right.
Right.
Which sounds very similar. I mean, I know that's not win-win, but that's definitely seeking first to understand.
Yeah.
Man, if we have to find a common ground, and we do that first by breaking the ice, right? I mean, Jim, where are you from, Jimmy? And we start that dialogue. That's the groundwork of synergy by the end of it.
Yep.
That's the roots, of the fruit. So I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. No, I think it really is, and almost brings to my thought process. And again, I love this journey because what does it do? It helps us to think and think back to other
No doubt.
chapters.
Yeah.
I can't remember what chapter, James, but the goose and the golden egg. Do you
Chapter
remember?
3. Yeah, I teach that one all the time. Chapter
Okay.
3, put first things first, right? And
Yep.
really, in that chapter, Covey's talking about delegation, and how proper delegation teaches you that you can, get more out of what you have, right? If you delegate two ways, right? You delegate your time, or you delegate. So that if you think about that thought process, though, and how he teaches you to move that fulcrum to be able to get more out of it, right? And it's almost that same concept of exponential, exponentially getting a result, right? Synergy is exponential. It allows us to turn 1 and 1 into 3, right? Just like delegation. But if if you're synergized and you're delegating, you're using all those other habits. Imagine, like you said, one plus one equals 3. It's more like 1 plus 1 is 100, or whatever, right? The sky's the limit, depending on how big your team is and how synergized they are.
Yeah.
But and
And we talked about this. I mean, we talk about it, and sometimes I don't think we give enough credence to it, that we get in a team environment and we're working on something. It could be just you and I, and we're
right.
at the end, we're like, wow, James, you really helped me out because your one thought
Mhm.
led to one of my thoughts, and then
This
vice versa.
Jimmy,
And
this
it,
show is an example of synergy, right? I mean, when we came together, I mean, you didn't have a problem talking to people and getting in front of people. You were well respected. You still are, I hope, after this, but well respected in the industry, had a voice in it. Had a following, an audience that somewhat that we could tap into. But you didn't have the motivation or the idea to really get something like this off the ground. And for me, this was the easy part, right? I
yeah,
was like, dude, all we got to do is turn it on, right? And so we got to work, and, turned around and went, what just happened? We just did, 20 episodes, and then turned around and, man, we just did a whole year, right? And then here
yeah,
we are at episode 60, whatever, right?
60.
Yes. And that's a product of synergy, man. I don't care who you are. And
Yeah,
and I said it, but I'll say it again. We talk about strengths on this show all the time, right?
yep,
We had Cindy on a million years ago from SGA, Cindy
yep,
Mitchell, expert on strengths, and we talk about it. And one of the things I feel like we do really well at Energy WorldNet is, obviously, we do strengths based assessments on everybody that walks in the door, which is nice to
yep,
know. But then we focus on those things in our teams to try to capitalize off of that. And
yes,
not just widgets, get out as many widgets as you can type of thing. I mean, from brainstorming to everything in between, launching a product, we try to take all those strengths and say, all right, what if we put us all together though? Right? How strong is it then? Right? And very quickly you see that, man, the product just gets stood up and pushed out. And you don't have to worry about the department next to you or the department next to them not carrying their weight because they understand it. And man, are we synergized.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I'm just smiling at myself. And I'm thinking of so many examples where I'm a futuristic, strategic activator, which means I'm thinking down the road, I'm thinking at 30,000 foot and how it's got to all play together, and activator, go.
Right.
And then someone will say to me, well, to do that, we need to do A, B, and C first. Thank goodness I have.
That's me. I'm an arranger. Good news. I like to arrange things, right? That's one
Yeah.
of my strengths. I could arrange all day, but you know what I need? I need an activator to go. Okay, now we need to go. And you know what else we need? We need an achiever to go, hey, we need to get this done and this done and this done. They make sure the boxes are checked, right?
Yep.
And so very quickly that team stacks together and boom, you've got a passionate group of people working towards something with synergy. There's nothing like it. And you know that, like, because you've been a part of it. You see it. We are a part of it. We're doing it right now.
It's fun, though. You know,
it makes it fun because it's effortless.
When you realize it, when you realize that you're taking these things, whether you're consciously or subconsciously, and because you learned them and you're doing things, you're like, you can sit back and say, wow, we just did that. And I'd never even realized it, which is wonderful because then it's getting into you and it's getting into your process, whether it's with your family, your neighbors, or work. You know, you're doing that. And that's the exciting part, especially when you realize it.
It's very stackable. I mean, once you've got a team synergized, it's very easy to bring more people into it because that's the culture of it, right? I mean, it's very hard in the beginning to break those old paradigms, like Covey says. I mean, it's just like, it's harder than working on yourself. It's working on, X amount of people and then getting them through that. But man, it's a very neat thing to be a part of. If you've ever been a part of a synergetic team, I always have the visual. Covey has videos that go along with the book. And every time I've been in it, shout out Lauren Morton. She's our guru on synergizing there at Energy World Net. I think she's taught it every time I've been in it. But there's a video that goes along with it, and it's showing, the V that ducks and geese fly in, and explains that of how, they put, if one's tired, they put it in the front and they drag, like there's things that they do. I probably just said it backwards, but you know what I mean? And they understand that you're only as good as your weakest link. And so how can we bring everybody to it? And they pull off each other and switch out. And it's pretty amazing. And I'm sure you can find it. I'm sure we'll link it up or something.
James, what's our future with 7 Habits? We've gone through the journey. What do you see as our next steps? What can we tell our audience to look forward to?
So if you're somebody that's watching this one, you're probably thinking, I thought there's 7 habits and this is 6. We kind of jumbled them up when we started. We've said it multiple times, but Sharpen the Saw just kind of came naturally to us one day. Thought we would share it with people. And so we did that. And then, thousands of 8s of people messaged us and said, hey, we love these. Why don't y'all keep doing them? So we didn't necessarily go in an order, but it would be our last one we're recording. So we're actually going to bundle them all up to where people can get to them all in one fell swoop. Secondly, we'll probably go and add a couple bookends on them because me personally, I like to onboard people, bring them along into it, and then offboard them as well so that they can function every day, right? Because this is great information. But if you go through this program and you set down this book and expect like you learned it and you're done, right? That's not how it works, right? No. I mean, this is the 5th year that at least 5 times that I've been through this myself in the last 5 years. And I feel like this time through, and this time with you, Jimmy, I've learned more than I ever have.
Well, it's a journey. correct? I mean,
Yeah, it's not a destination. Yeah, absolutely.
you read it and you capture, you go back and you reread a few things, some pointers. Yep, that makes sense. You just go keep, touching on it. It's
Yeah.
exciting, James. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
so I assume we'll get that all together, put it on the website, begin
Okay.
sharing it with people. But yeah, we want to help people. Okay, now what? Right? We made it through all of them. We listened to your shows. Now what? And I'd love to give them just a little bit extra, keep them moving down that path and coming back.
Sounds great.
And
Any
then we'll
last
have to find something else, Jimmy.
we're going to. You know what? I'd like the managing and leading people that are not like you, I think is an interesting subject. I think we should
Yeah,
touch on.
we could break that down. I think it has 7 things too, just out of
Yeah.
coincidence. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a
Cool.
coincidence or not? James, any last words before we wrap up here, sir?
Oh, there was one thing. Let me see in my notes. I just want to make sure I had one thing. Nope, we got it.
You got it?
Yeah, man.
Right,
I think
man.
this has been awesome. This has been a ton of fun. I enjoy it. I can't wait to get started on another one, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that it's ending, but then
Well, that's
exciting that we get to do new stuff.
This one's coming to we're going to have something new coming out, and our thought leadership, we embrace that, you and I, as well as the whole company. How can we share with the industry, with our audience, things that are good? And I think you and I have a passion for that. If we change one person's life to be more positive in some way, you and I feel like we've done a good job today.
And Jimmy, while we delivered this series through over the pandemic and everything, the 7 Habits portion, we've probably, and you've been a part of it, you taught it too. We put probably 30 to 40 people through this with us that within the company.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the people that have joined us, through the podcast. So, hey, what's our goal, right? Here we are.
I love it. I love it. Audience, thank you for joining in with us today. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you captured, again, one little tidbit from today that makes you want to pick up that book that James is holding up and give it a read. We are not paid endorsers. We just believe in it because personally and professionally. So thank you so much for joining us. Until next week on Coffee with Jim and James, please, everybody, as I always say, and I mean, stay safe. And until then, have a great week, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Jimmy.